Okay, just going to the right, Jane. How can we, as in BBG, actually potentially align with BSI People and Nextech and BSI e-learning to potentially promote this blueprint to corporates, this free diagnostic that can potentially lead into major consulting assignments for these corporates that our company, as in our clients, the BSI major clients, can ride on the back of. And maybe you can, like that, even Jan's companies, how can we basically go to corporates and say, listen, like let's say, for example, I'll just put Jan, his clients are companies who turn over between $10 and $200 million. He wants to, in his business, wants to implement his software and his solutions, and Jane wants to help BSI companies implement their offerings into that. Imagine if we can actually have Herman and Lisa as a lead-in to say, well, listen, here's a blueprint. You don't know what you don't know in respect of climate. How can we actually give you a free consultation or a free session with the objective of maybe getting you climate ready? What do you think of that?
I think that's a fabulous idea, and similar to Chris, I need to obviously understand it a little bit further, see it and understand a little bit further. However, you know, that using the BSI, harnessing and leveraging the BSI stakeholders, take this message in a masterclass, you know, type of event where corporates, the clients of the BSI group people meet Herman and Lisa in a masterclass style of event. So that way then there is a stepping through the mapping process. Yeah, so a series of events around Australia with VIP.
That's genius. So instead of us having an event for BSI People that relates to cybersecurity, which we are, let's also have an event that relates to climate action and blueprints. Great idea. Would you be open to that, Herman and Lisa?
We got a world to change, yes.
Let's talk.
Excellent. Jan, what are some of your ideas?
So questions for Herman and Lisa. I mean, what is your target size organization? You know, that's I think the first question. And from there, is it self-serve? Is it facilitated? How scalable is it beyond the two of you guys to actually have these things worked on and done?
So what we've typically done, because we often did it in really large companies, and we might start with the leadership group. The first part of this blueprint is that they see the trends, they see what's going on externally, they see the crisis, they see opportunities that are emerging and innovations that are popping up, and then they set their territory. The leaders set a strategy, and it's like as if here's this whole new regenerative era, right? It's like things are going downhill here, but there's a new era starting. We're at the early days, and the leaders set a strategy, and then they may take that out and then they follow out of that. They do a whole blueprint around business, organization, people, culture, leadership. I mean, it has all these different pieces that they need to all be doing to make this a reality, to take this set of people and have them build this new world. Now they can take that. It's simple enough, and we've made it simple enough that people can take it. If we do it first with them, and then we might do it where they do it and we're coaching them, but it's simple enough that if they get an innovation team and put people together, we train the trainers and they take it out everywhere. And so that's traditionally what we've done in organizations, where it starts out with maybe several groups of leaders who end up with multiple thousands and thousands of people.
So in the mid-90s, during the time of Mandela coming in South Africa, we did with Old Mutual hundreds of these kind of blueprints, you know, first with the leadership and then throughout the organization, and then took it out to even the communities. So it was a super interesting project. With the BBC, it was 850 people who engaged in their own departments, you know, sort of from the top down. So it all depends, but it's meant to be something where the leadership gets clear and then it moves out into the organization so that it has this sort of bottoms up orientation.
Facilitated by you guys at the leadership level though?
Yes.
Yeah, at the beginning. Okay. And then, and then they also have the crowdsourcing platform where you can open it up, you can post a campaign, how might we questions, and you can have thousands of people adding in their ideas. So it's just a way to you could get to everybody in a company.
But could we actually learn how to do that so we could actually implement that in Australia?
We could do it for our group. We could blueprint our group and what we want to do. Or,
I think what Jan's saying is, how do we actually scale it in every city? So how do we?
Yeah, transferability is the question.
How do we
right?
get a Herman in Canada? How do we get a Herman in Australia? How do we get a Herman in London? Actually, or Herman and Lisa. How do we implement what you've done? How do we implement what you and Lisa have done in other countries that you can be the trainer of trainers? I think, is that what you're saying? Yeah,
it works. Yeah, and that's not a problem at all. We have a team in Switzerland that's doing it. We have a team in Germany that's doing it. We have a team in Slovenia.
Right.
And we have ways to do it
we're used to
online.
having people pick it up, learn it, and go and do it. So it's not a difficult
So
thing.
Now we're
It's
doing it on online whiteboards.
How do we do 30 of them at once? I think that's what Jan's saying.
How do we what?
How do we do 30 of these blueprints at the same time?
Well, we did with the Mexican group. We did 13 at a time online in Spanish.
You did Miro. You have like an advantage of online whiteboards is they just go on forever. You don't need to go find a ballroom in a hotel with empty wall space. You just like need more.
Sure.
Just like got it.
That's I know, but I understand. But are you
Working it out.
are lots of companies joining, or is it? Let's say, for example, I put in the chat Mark Champley, who's the Principal Strategy and Engagement Officer for Aboriginal people at New South Wales Department of Planning, Industry and Environment, which like works out, it's the government's agency to do.
It's a bit easier. You can do it either way, right? You can have, if it's just one company, you'll get deeper material from them because they won't be worried about confidentiality. They won't be worried about how they look. They might really be doing kind of the real work and saying the things where they look great and things where they don't look so great.
Ideally, that's what you want. It's like 150, like Westpac will get their leaders and say, here's $150,000 gig where you can present and do this over a period of time, but you can only do so. Herman and Lisa can only do so much.
It still works, right? So when we've had multiple companies, there's still enough to be done. I mean, climate is so new and the needs are so big. There's still plenty of things for them to put on their blueprint.
Like they may not go. The point that I'm saying is maybe Westpac doesn't want to actually be part of 13 different companies. Yeah, maybe it'll be part of them actually aligning. So I think what Jan is saying is, how do you actually?
And maybe there's a product funnel
where
maybe it starts with public events and works its way down to.
That's a great concept. Paul, what is
your idea? One person, or it can be 25. It can be minutes. We've done it with 1, with 2.
Awesome.
So it depends. It's customized for the people. Who wants to start, who needs to have a deep conversation together, and then could really work and get that group to do it.
Got it. Paul, have you got any ideas?
At this moment, no. I mean, this is just
no worries. We'll go to the next immediately. All good. Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie.
Sorry, I missed that, Ivan. Can you repeat that?
Have you got any ideas for Herman of, like, he's got this blueprint to basically showcase and enable corporates to
No, as Chris said, like, let's have a look at it first and see how we can help.
Okay, so that's one of the outcomes. Herman, if you can basically send or put onto the Slack the relevant information so that we can have a look.
Chris, just to build on what you had said at the very beginning, what we have found is that the main thing when there's a transformation going on, you spoke to it, is to reorient the group to a shared narrative, right? That's what this is about. It's about giving people from the top and the bottom a chance to say, wait a minute, we all understand where we're heading now together, right? That's the intention behind the whole thing.
Okay, great. Brendan, have you got something to add?
No, I think
that's all good. What about you, Pearl?
So from a World Vision point of view, we talked a while around how we work in the space of the intersection of poverty and climate. So we can provide the case studies or the stories, suggested like the CEO might open something, to talk about that. So it brings it real, not just, of course we know what's going on in our own worlds, but what 1 billion people have been brought out of poverty in the last decade, and now half of them are slipping back. So that becomes the real that urgency. But also, my CEO's got a very good narrative around, we've got plenty, we can do it, and it's actually saying corporate is good. He's had a meeting with a bank only a couple of weeks ago, and they thought that they were going to get hammered as we're the bad people, and he said, no, you're good. So it's actually that, that sort of like confidence, and we can do it, and we can get together.
And that's where, depending on your group, you can have really speakers or things, education or something that's just upfront, that stretches people's thinking and gets them to see the possibilities and gets them inspired, and then doing the blueprint and starting from there. So it often starts like that. It depends on the amount of time. And that's why sometimes there's maybe multiple sessions if we're doing it online. So that you do get this place to open up the thinking and get people to think into the territories they might not have thought into before.
Great. David Michaelis, any suggestions?
Well, my question is if this structure, which has been practiced on corporate world, also fits the non-profit world, because the non-profit world many times lacks the right tools of management and lacks the right sorts of strategy. So the non-profit world is a huge world that Carol knows. So I was wondering if it fits the non-profit world.
Definitely. We've done a lot of retreats with, strategy retreats and what they're going to do and the leadership they take. We did that with the Rainforest Action Network. We've done it with Nature Conservancy. We've done it with some smaller groups. We also just did a podcast that we recorded last weekend for a group of religious leaders, and particularly ones that are interested in nature and just,
nature
so they're
religions.
Yeah.
Wow,
and so really any group, it's been with cities, it's been with communities, it's been with industry associations, that it's not just one company, but it's throughout that whole industry to say, what's the future in this particular industry? Where are we going together? How might we not compete on these things? Let's not compete on climate. So really you can pick a group, and they need to understand where they are and when they are and what's their future. What's the future they want to create together.
One of the most enjoyable moments was actually in the mid-90s when I was at Old Mutual, and a new ANC leader came in to a session to do a blueprint with and for the, looking at could this be helpful to the organization. And I said, what do you want from me? I'm a corporate guy. I'm the Swiss American guy who works with corporations, and you are a leader of a government, and you're a rebel leader. And he says, well, I was a rebel leader. Now I have to run a government. Just show me what you got. And I'll let you know whether it's useful. And it was fantastic, so we sat down and started looking at this whole mapping process, and it was remarkable.
And if we think about climate, we need the whole ecosystem to change, right? We need companies, we need finance leaders, investors, we need communities, schools.
Right. At least I'm just conscious we've got 2 minutes, and I'm happy to go over another 5 or 10 minutes. But Lucille, have you got any ideas for Herman and Lisa in respect to doing their blueprints?
Well, I was just thinking, it may have been touched on earlier that, there are so many BBG groups that have their own distinctive. Having a large online conference of all those BBG groups where Herman and Lisa introduce the whole blueprint idea could be a big
great
hit
idea
all at once.
I think such a good idea. Introduce it. Yeah, good idea. It hasn't. That's fantastic. So what we've actually just done is what we call at BBG KLT hot seat. No like and trust hot seat.
It feels like that.
And that's what we've done. So how do we add value to our members in a way where they can actually add value to us, but more important, how can we help them grow their business and their center of influence? And what we've done is, Herman and Lisa, have there been any takeouts from this discussion that can actually take your vision further?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Definitely.
we're in this together. You know, this is a topic that we need to bring to everything we've got. And so I feel that strongly. I got that right, you know, from people I had never met before, Chris and others, Anne-Marie, and, you know, those we've met before in a new way, right? We say, wait a minute, we could do something here together. So
Well,
yes, absolutely.
It also may lead people back into whoever's bringing a group. It might be that it goes back to you, because we're obviously not going to be the ones that follow up with each of these groups if there's lots of them. So what we're doing is we're really laying out what is going on with climate, how we're seeing it, and people really shouldn't come if they're not.
So what we want to do is in these what we call the water cooler chats, when it's like a members only and we might invite 1, 2, or 3 guests, this is like a way for members to get value. So maybe each forum, and maybe we can every second week, we'll have like 15 or 20 minutes where one of our members will actually share one of their issues or things, how we can actually help them grow their business. And we can all add value to how do we as a group add value or give insights in furthering that person's goals and objectives. And we'll call that the KLT hot seat, that we'll talk for 20 minutes every session. How does that sound?
Well, it was a surprise for us, but it felt great.
No, it's really helpful if we can continue to have some of these conversations. So whoever's really interested, contact us and we can see where it goes.
So what